Hi, I'm Attorney Gregory Dell, joined by Attorney Alex Palamara, and we're going to talk about one of Alex's success stories against Prudential Insurance Company, and it's a long-term disability insurance denial that you were able to get overturned. And in these videos, we like to talk about the history of the claim, what you were able to do to get it overturned, and then provide some tips for people who have Prudential long-term disability claims that may help them in the future to secure their benefits. So tell us a little bit about the disability policy language and the facts and circumstances of this particular claim.
Certainly. So this client came to us after being denied disability insurance benefits, actually short-term disability insurance benefits. She came to us because they obviously denied her claim, and it's a Prudential claim. Prior to that time period, or following this claim, she had worked as an operations planner for a company called Transportation Insight. The thing about this situation, though, is that she only worked there for less than a year. She had just started working there. But thankfully, her employer, even though she just started working there, they still provide new employees with coverage under short-term and long-term disability insurance policies. And lo and behold, within a few months of working there, almost actually a year, she actually became disabled and had to file a claim for disability benefits. Now, I have to explain why it kind of complicates things. If you get covered under a disability insurance policy and file within the first year, under most long-term disability insurance companies, or if not every single long-term disability insurance company.
Yeah, just about everyone.
And some, maybe 50% of the short-term policies, they'll have language in there called pre-existing condition exclusion. And what that essentially means is that they will not pay a benefit if it's caused by, if they will not pay benefits for a disability caused by or contributed to by a pre-existing condition. Now, it's important to understand what that language actually says and what it means, because there are some ways to get around it. Lo and behold, the policy will state that if you're a person covered under the policy for longer than a year, then most of these pre-existing condition language, limiting language will not apply to your claim. And then it also gives a specific time period where the insurance company has to look back. If you were treated during this specific time period, then it's considered a pre-existing condition. But if you have no treatment or care or medication during that time period, then it should not be considered a pre-existing condition. In this instance, unfortunately, our now client was not a covered person for longer than a year under the policy, so Prudential was able to do a pre-existing condition check, and they utilized that as a reason to deny this claim.
Okay, and what was her disabling conditions that she was claiming?
Sorry, she suffered from depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, osteoarthritis of the hands, as well as a painful bladder condition. And so she had a few different things going on.
And so did any of these conditions start within the 12 months prior to her getting the disability policy?
Well, within the 3 months. So this policy had a 3-month look-back period, a very specific 3-month look-back period. And was she treated for, cared for, consulted with, or prescribed any medications during this look-back period? The answer is no.
Okay. Yet that was the basis for Prudential's initial denial on the short-term disability?
Which is really interesting. They denied this claim when the client hired us. The first thing I did was order a copy of the claim file, which is the first thing anybody should do. If you get denied, either contact our firm or order a copy of the claim file.
Right.
Because you need to review this claim file, because all the justification for denying your claim is going to be in there. There's going to be reviews that they conduct, whether it's in-house nurse reviews or in-house doctor reviews, or if they hire an outside physician consultant. These reviews have to be in there. If they don't provide it to you, that's gold, because then we have a great reason to prove ERISA violations. But the reviews are going to be in there. And when I got a copy of this claim file, I looked at all the reviews, and lo and behold, what I found was the great justification for denying this claim was based on one prescription, one medication this lady was prescribed. And the crazy part was, it was prior to the look-back period. And when I digged further into it and looked at the nurse reviews, they had no idea whatsoever why the doctor was prescribing this medication. It said blah, blah, blah was prescribed, and this medication can be used for depression, can be used to treat depression, it can be used to treat other conditions. They have no idea why it was prescribed, but they said, hey, this medication is used to treat depression, even though it was before the look-back period, so it's for treatment prior to. And they felt justified, even though they didn't know the reason behind the medication prescription, they felt justified in saying, she's taking this medication, we can deny her claim as pre-existing condition, even though depression was only one of many conditions she was suffering from.
So this is a classic technique by Prudential. Probably they're notorious for doing this. They find one little reason. I wouldn't even go as far as to say it even needs to be reasonable, and they say, we're denying the claim based upon that. And somehow or another, they'll have the claim person, a manager, and maybe even someone else sign off on it. I'm always blown away how 3 human beings could have the audacity to say, well, maybe we should look at this, or maybe we should consider something else, or maybe we should call the claimant and get further clarification, but they don't. And the reason they don't is because, as you know, they're monsters in terms, not monsters in the sense of they're a monster company. They're gigantic. They're almost $1 billion a year in long-term disability insurance premiums. So they're one of the top 5 largest disability companies in the world, and they just don't care. They just have no sympathy, and they feel that they can get away with this.
See, I don't know if they don't care, or if maybe they're so busy. There's so many claims, and maybe their employees are just, almost like a robotic thing. Just I'm supposed to deny these claims, So the lowest level person says we should deny this claim, and no one else. There's no system of checks and balances to prevent a wrongful denial.
And they have volume and quotas and things like that, and they got to get through the claim. So it's volume, as opposed to other carriers who are, a fraction the size of them, and really go into detail, and really are supposed to fulfill their fiduciary duty to represent. Here's what's so ironic. Prudential is supposed to have a fiduciary duty to administer the claim and make claim decisions. And they're obligated to act in the best interest of the plan participants. The plan participant is not the employees of Prudential. The plan participant is the employees of that particular group. So how, like even in your case, is Prudential acting in the best interest of the employees by not even coming up with a reasonable basis to deny the claim, and not even doing any further reasonable investigation that any normal person would do?
Right, exactly. I agree with you 100%. And the crazy part is it gets even worse, because even though she told them about her other conditions, they just,
ignored them.
They ignored them. They basically said, we found a medication used in the look-back period, actually before the look-back period. So it was like they're using evidence that was from a time period they shouldn't be looking at. They kind of went, I don't know how they got it, but it was before we got involved, but they went above and beyond getting medical records that they should not have had access to, but they got them. They found this one prescription, they used it as justification, but the nurse reviews that they utilized to deny this claim ignored the osteoarthritis of the hands, ignored the painful bladder condition, and it kind of made my appeal easy.
All right, so I got it. So what did you do on appeal?
So on appeal, the first thing I did was get all the updated medical records to prove that that most of her conditions were not pre-existing. I reached out to her doctors to drum up more support for her claim, where they say, yes, it's not pre-existing, and yes, this lady cannot do her job or any job right now because she's in such pain all day, or because she has depression, anxiety, PTSD, because she was going through a lot at this time. There's a little background of a story that I wouldn't get into in a public video. Right. So she was actually going through a lot, and all of her treating providers were supportive. We got them all to fill out attending physician statements. It wasn't a hard case because the doctors were more than willing to help us in this scenario.
Now, we know that Prudential commonly has a 24 or 12-month mental nervous limitation. So which means that if you have some kind of mental or psychiatric disorder, that you may only be eligible for benefits for 12 months or 24 months, depending upon what it says. But you also had some pretty significant physical conditions here. And I know whenever we're handling a claim, especially when they're denied, that we want to prioritize the physical conditions, with the psychiatric being secondary, or the physical on its own is disabling, therefore it knocks out the psychiatric condition. So how did you tackle that in this particular appeal?
Well, this was a short-term disability appeal, so I just wanted to get approved.
In that case, doesn't matter.
And lo and behold, when we filed the appeal, we asked them to review for long-term disability, and they ended up approving this claim, mind you, for short-term, the full-time period of short-term, because by the time the claim was overturned, short-term, the time period was done. So they're like, all right, here's a check for all the short-term. But they did a good thing in this sense. I have to give Prudential credit, because sometimes they'll just do a short-term review and then make you jump through hoops to get to long-term. But they went ahead and approved short-term and long-term with this one approval letter, which was great. But our appeal did focus on both the physical and mental health aspects of this claim. And we're not at the 24-month mark just yet. So we got our claim approved. So right now we are in the process of building her claim for their physical conditions alone, because we know at the 24-month mark they're going to do their best to deny the claim because of the mental health limiting language, and as well as the change in definition of disability. So after 24 months, not only do we have to prove that she can't do her own job, we have to prove that she can't do any occupation. So I guess there's two complications.
You got a double whammy coming up.
Two complications. So we're in the process of building her claim to show that her hands are so messed up and her bladder condition is so bad that she just can't sit there and actually type or use her hands all day, and that even if she could, she can't concentrate all day because she's in pain all day. And even if she took pain medications, there's only so much that it will help, because if you're on pain medications, your concentration could be down. You could be falling asleep at your desk, And it's
super important for claimants to understand that it's not like Social Security where you win an appeal and then usually they leave you alone for 5 years. Whether it's Prudential or any company, once you win your appeal, you get back on claim. And then it's a month-to-month, maybe week-to-week evaluation of having to prove they're eligible, because there's a person at Prudential who has to report to somebody to push the button every month for the check to be issued to go out. And for that, they have a checklist of things that have to happen. So Prudential evaluates the claim every month. You continue to get medical documentation every month, and sometimes they ask for it monthly, sometimes quarterly, semi-annually. But we know early on, especially with a change of definition, that we have to continue to build the file, advise the client, keep going to the doctor, keep making sure the medical records are strong, keep requesting the medical records, keep doing everything ongoing to protect the benefits, because this is going to go on every year to every 2 years, but especially now at a critical change of definition from own occupation to any occupation and getting past the mental nervous condition. So I know you have your work cut out for you, but the work you're going to do is the same amount of work that you had to do for the appeal, and then it will continue beyond that. And hopefully, we'll be able to have the client in the best position forward so that Prudential doesn't deny the claim moving forward. So if you're someone who has a Prudential long-term or short-term disability claim, reach out to Alex or myself. No matter where you live in the country, we're available to assist you. We always provide an immediate free phone consultation, and we encourage you to contact us. And we also would love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the button below, as we always put out these helpful videos to provide you with tips that could help you overcome a denial or even protect a denial in the future. So should you need us, we look forward to talking to you shortly. Hi, I'm Gregory Dell, the managing attorney of Dell Disability Lawyers, and I hope you find the video you just watched helpful. We put these videos out all of the time, and we'd love if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. Beyond our videos on our YouTube channel, we also have lots of information available on our website at diattorney.com, and we encourage you to come to our website. The goal is that we want you to be educated about the disability insurance process, and when you get to our website, you'll see that we have information all about your specific disability insurance company, your occupation, and your medical condition. And we've designed our website such that you can easily search our website to find things that you may specifically be looking for. Now, at our website, we have thousands and thousands of pages of information, hundreds of videos that you can search, plus we're building a section of reviews of all the disability insurance companies, and we have the Ask Our Lawyer section where you can go ahead and ask us any questions that you may have. Now, we realize that you may not need us right now, but you may need us in the future to help you with your disability claim, and we think one of the best ways to keep in touch is by clicking the button below and subscribing to our channel. And most importantly, again, no matter where you live in the country, we're always available. Just go ahead and give us a call. We're happy to discuss your claim and let you know immediately if we can help you.